What if showing up to work every day made you a multi-millionaire overnight, and the only thing you had to do was get hired first? That is exactly what happened to hundreds of OpenAI employees, and the numbers are so staggering they barely seem real. Here's everything you need to know. OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT and some of the most powerful artificial intelligence systems ever built, has quietly become one of the greatest wealth generation machines in Silicon Valley history. While the public debates the ethics of AI, the regulatory frameworks, and the societal implications, a small group of engineers, researchers, and early employees have been sitting on something extraordinary: equity stakes in a company whose valuation has skyrocketed into the stratosphere. According to reports from the Wall Street Journal and other financial outlets, OpenAI's latest funding round valued the company at roughly $157 billion. That valuation didn't just make headlines. It translated directly into life-changing payouts for employees who had joined the company years ago, often for salaries that were modest compared to what the biggest tech giants were offering. The gamble paid off in a way few could have imagined. Here is where the numbers become jaw-dropping. OpenAI allowed employees to cash out up to $30 million each in a share sale conducted last year. That's not a bonus. That's not a stock option with a long vesting cliff. That is a single liquidity event where individual contributors, not just executives, not just founders, walked away with sums that most people will never see in a lifetime of work. In total, OpenAI's employee payout from these transactions has been reported at approximately $6.6 billion. $6.6 billion, flowing to the people who built the technology. To understand why this happened, you have to understand what OpenAI actually is at this stage of its development. The company began as a nonprofit research lab in 2015. Its mission was deliberately non-commercial, to develop artificial general intelligence for the benefit of all humanity. Early employees bought into that vision, accepting equity compensation in an entity that, at the time, seemed unlikely to ever produce a financial windfall. Then, everything changed. The commercial arm of OpenAI launched, ChatGPT became a global phenomenon. Enterprise contracts poured in, and suddenly that idealistic nonprofit structure was sitting on top of one of the most valuable technology businesses on Earth. What this represents for the broader AI industry is profound. The OpenAI payout is not just a feel-good story about engineers getting rich. It is a signal, a very loud one, that the AI sector is producing wealth concentration at a speed and scale that the tech industry hasn't seen since the early Google and Facebook days. Venture capitalists, analysts, and recruiters are all watching. The message being sent to every talented computer scientist, every machine learning researcher, every top engineering student in the world is unmistakable. Getting in early at the right AI company is the closest thing to a lottery ticket that the professional world has ever offered. The implications don't stop with individual employees. This level of wealth generation is already reshaping hiring dynamics across the entire technology sector. Competing AI labs and major technology companies are being forced to rethink their compensation packages, their equity structures, and their pitch to top talent. When your competitor can point to employees who cashed out $30 million from a single liquidity event, offering a higher base salary is simply not enough. There are also questions being raised about what concentrations of this magnitude mean for inequality in the technology workforce and beyond. The employees who benefited most were those who had the connections, credentials, and risk tolerance to join an obscure AI research lab years before the public knew what large language models were. That is a remarkably narrow group of people. Watch for what comes next. Whether OpenAI pursues a full public offering, how competitors like Anthropic, xAI, and Google DeepMind respond with their own equity structures, and whether regulators begin paying closer attention to how AI companies are compensating and retaining the people building these systems. One thing is certain: the era of AI as a pure academic exercise is over.